Door gunners, the brutal first 30 days. 30 days to survive. What if I told you that some of the most dangerous jobs in military history had survival rates that would make most people refuse to even board the aircraft? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most lethal positions in modern warfare, the helicopter door gunner. Before we get into the shocking statistics, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're covering the most intense military stories you won't find anywhere else. And if this video gets 5,000 likes, I'll do a follow-up on helicopter pilot survival rates. Let's get into it. The most exposed position. A door gunner isn't just someone shooting out of a helicopter. They're literally strapped into an open door, thousands of feet in the air, completely exposed to enemy fire from below. No armor plating between them and a bullet traveling at 2,000 feet per second. During the Vietnam War, these crew members operated M60 machine guns or miniguns from UH-1 Huey helicopters. Their job? Provide suppressive fire during insertions and extractions, protect the aircraft from ground threats, and lay down covering fire for troops on the ground. But here's what made it absolutely brutal. While pilots had armored seats and some protection, door gunners were essentially sitting ducks. They couldn't take evasive action. They couldn't hide. They could only shoot back and hope. The numbers don't lie. Now let's talk about the survival rates. And I've got to warn you, these numbers are sobering. During Vietnam, the casualty rates for helicopter crew members were astronomical. While exact figures specifically for door gunners during their first 30 days are difficult to isolate from overall crew statistics, we know that helicopter crew members had some of the highest casualty rates of any position in Vietnam. The average life expectancy of a door gunner in heavy combat zones has been estimated at weeks, not months, by various veteran accounts. In 1970 alone, over 400 helicopters were lost in Vietnam. Thousands of crew members were killed or wounded throughout the war. One veteran account described new door gunners as having roughly a 50% chance of completing their first few combat missions unscathed in hot landing zones. Think about that. A coin flip. If you're finding this as intense as I am, go ahead and drop a comment below with your thoughts. And seriously, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that button right now. Sitting in the kill zone. So why were the odds so terrible? Let me break down the 5 main reasons. First, complete exposure. Door gunners had zero protection from their sides and rear. They were exposed to ground fire from virtually every angle. Unlike infantry who could take cover, these guys were locked in place. Second, predictable flight paths. During landing zone insertions, helicopters had to slow down and hover. This made them perfect targets. Enemy forces learned to concentrate fire on these moments, and the door gunners caught the brunt of it. Third, visible targets. The muzzle flash from their weapons was like a giant shoot here sign for enemy combatants. Every time they fired, they gave away their exact position. Fourth, extended exposure. Time unlike pilots who could be rotated more frequently, door gunners often flew multiple missions per day in high-intensity periods. More missions meant more exposure to hostile fire. Fifth, the learning curve. New door gunners made mistakes. They didn't know the terrain, didn't recognize threats as quickly, and hadn't developed the split-second instincts that could save their lives. That first month was basically combat school with live ammunition. Trial by fire. Let me share some accounts from actual door gunners about their first missions, and you'll understand why that first month was so critical. Veterans described their first combat insertions as complete sensory overload. The rotor noise, the G-forces, the heat, the smell of gun oil and exhaust, and then suddenly, tracers coming up at you like angry fireflies. One door gunner recalled his first hot LZ. I froze. For maybe 3 seconds, I just froze. My training instructor's voice in my head screaming at me finally snapped me out of it. 3 seconds doesn't sound like long, but at 100 feet with people shooting at you, it's an eternity. Another veteran described watching the door gunner on the opposite side take a round through his arm on their first mission together. That's when it became real. This wasn't training. These bullets were trying to kill us. Psychological toll was immense. New door gunners had to overcome their natural survival instincts, which screamed, "Get away from the open door," and instead lean into the danger to do their job effectively. Make sure you're subscribed because next week we're covering helicopter pilot stories that are just as intense. How they stayed alive. So how did Dr. Gunners increase their odds of surviving that brutal first month? Here are the tactics that saved lives. Experienced crew chiefs were everything new. Door gunners who flew with experienced crew chiefs had dramatically better survival rates. These veterans would literally guide the newbie through every step, pointing out threats, correcting mistakes in real time. Constant movement. Successful door gunners learned never to stay static. Even strapped into the gun, they'd shift their body position, vary their fields of fire, and avoid creating predictable patterns that enemy shooters could anticipate. Trust your instincts. Veterans emphasize the importance of trusting that feeling when something was wrong. If an LZ felt wrong, it probably was. Those who spoke up potentially saved entire crews. Maintain your weapon religiously. A jammed gun in a hot LZ was a death sentence. Door gunners who survived were obsessive about weapon maintenance, cleaning, testing, and rechecking everything before every mission. Situational awareness. The best door gunners developed an almost sixth sense about where threats would come from. They learned to read the terrain, recognize ambush positions, and spot muzzle flashes before tracers became visible. The mental battlefield. Surviving the first month physically was only part of the challenge. The psychological impact of serving as a door gunner left permanent marks on many veterans. The constant exposure to danger created a unique form of stress. Unlike infantry, who had downtime between engagements, door gunners experienced intense combat, then immediately flew to another hot zone. Multiple missions per day meant multiple life or death situations within hours. Many door gunners developed a fatalistic attitude as a coping mechanism. If you accepted that getting hit was just a matter of time, the fear became more manageable. This mindset helped some survive, but created lasting psychological trauma. The loss of crew members hit particularly hard. In the confined space of a helicopter, you formed tight bonds quickly. Losing a fellow crew member wasn't just losing a colleague, it was losing family. PTSD rates among helicopter crew members were significant, with many veterans struggling for decades after their service with nightmares, hypervigilance, and survivor's guilt. Remember their sacrifice. So how many door gunners actually survived their first month? While precise statistics are elusive, the evidence suggests that in heavy combat zones, the first 30 days were statistically the most dangerous period of a door gunner's tour. Those who made it through that initial period had better odds, having gained the experience and instincts necessary to survive. These men volunteered for one of the most dangerous jobs in military history. They sat in open doors, exposed to enemy fire, to protect their fellow soldiers and complete the mission. That takes a special kind of courage. If this video opened your eyes to a story you'd never heard, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear about these heroes. Subscribe for more untold military stories and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Drop a comment below. Would you have had the courage to be a door gunner? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.